Coming up on the Sports Desk, teams all around Torrance wrap up their preseason, getting ready for do-or-die league games. In the Delray League, Bishop Montgomery looks to cross off its 4th title since 2010. Can George Washington Prep threaten the Knights' perfect 2015 record? And the Pioneer League has been welcoming West High squads to the crowd all season long. We visit the Warriors on both the pitch and the court to see if they can keep up with the pace or run away from the pack. Torrance, North, and South all have a new kid on the block. We start asking who's going to come out on top. Your scores and updates from Torrance's prep sports scene starts right now. It's the Sports Desk. How's it going, Torrance? Good to see you as always. It's another episode of the Sports Desk. I'm your host, Juan Hernandez. First up today are the Kings of Winter in Torrance. We recently got one last look at the Bishop Montgomery Knights in the middle of a serious hot streak that takes us back before Christmas. On December 22nd, the Bishop Montgomery Knights lost to Marin Catholic 61-60 at the Mission Prep Classic. Since then, they've won games by 81 points, 66, and right here against George Washington Prep by a score of 86-50. In this one, the Knights jump out to a 20-7 lead before going into the half up 34-23, which they considered a, quote, slow start. That's because the black and gold came out of the locker room on fire. Bishop Montgomery outscores GW Prep 52-27 in the second half, earning their 15th win of the preseason and second overall over the Generals. They would go on to beat Narbonne just a few days later in the final preseason game, extending their win streak to 8, also keeping the Knights perfect in 2015. During that stretch, Coach Doug Mitchell's team has won by a margin of over 29 points per game, including topping perennial state tourney threat Redondo High on January 3rd. Now the Knights head out against the Delray League this week, where they look to lock up their 4th league title in the last 5 years. More on the Knights' impossibly high standards from their captain and coach after the game right here.
To come out there, we didn't come out with much intensity in the first half, so in the second half we had to come out with more intensity, and we played better in the second half. We got to start off better in the first half and play harder from the beginning of the game, not just wait till the second half.
Well, I have good players. They're gonna play well. I mean, yeah, I thought Chris had a real good game tonight. Stevie was close to being Stevie. He's pretty consistent every night, and the other guys came through. We did play better in the second half, but we're a good team, so we're gonna make plays. I just thought the intensity was a little lacking.
Taking a look at those last 4 Delray League championship seasons and how the Knights fared in the postseason, late-round playoff losses haunted Bishop Montgomery, especially in that near-perfect 2013 when Bishop went undefeated through the year before losing a semifinal, their first loss of what was supposed to be an unstoppable season. They again lost in the SoCal Regional semis shortly after, shocking absolutely everybody, which made that 2014 state championship even more of a surprise. Coming off of the high expectations set on the Knights in 2013, nobody was expecting them to somehow top that the next year, especially when they lost 3 of 4 games during a stretch in late January, including a heartbreaking league loss to Sarah. Pretty much everybody left the Knights for dead. They lost in the opening round of the CIF Southern Section Open Division playoffs. Then they went on their best postseason run, bringing home a CIF state championship. Their win over Moreau Catholic in that one, the biggest margin of victory in a state title game. Across the rest of town, other boys basketball teams not looking as hot quite yet. In fact, the entire Pioneer League had just one team that made it through the preseason without a losing record. That would be South High, but they dropped to 500 after losing their league opener against newcomer Lusinger. North Torrance is on the rebound after losing 4 in a row before Christmas. They've now come back to win 4 of 5 since then, so they are on the rise with league games starting this week. Meanwhile, the other Pioneer newcomer, West, endured an even tougher losing streak, dropping 7 in a row at one point. They've since split their next 4 games, opening up league play against Lusinger and North High now. All right, everybody, when we come back, more hoops, this time from the ladies in Torrance. West High won it all in 2014, but the reset button has been pushed. Even toting a CIF banner, they talk about stiff competition against Torrance's other Pioneer League squads.
Introducing a breakthrough in time management technology. A whole new day of the week. It's called Someday. Ingenious. Perhaps someday you are going to go skydiving. Enter a hot dog eating contest. Maybe ride a mechanical bull. Now, it's on the calendar. You may want to retire someday. Ready for that? You'll really want this. A My Social Security account at socialsecurity.gov. You can estimate your future benefits, plan for your retirement, and how to save for it. If you already receive benefits, you can manage them online. Millions of people already have a My Social Security account. In fact, someone opens one about every 6 seconds. Get yours today, because someday is here at socialsecurity.gov.
For others, it may have just been a summer job. But for me, it was training. Now I'm an Air Force pararescueman, and my job is to save lives. Make the right choices today and be ready for the challenges tomorrow. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Welcome back to our final glances at teams before they head into league games this week. Next up, we're going to go to West High. In 2014, the West Warriors won 33 games with an 8-2 record against the Bay League en route to a CIF Southern Section Championship. Of those 33 wins, they were a perfect 5-0 against other Torrance basketball programs, including the CIF champs of the Division IV bracket, the Bishop Montgomery Knights, and a semifinals playoff win over the North Torrance Saxons. Now in 2015, the Warriors are no longer going up against the Bay League, as they'll take on their crosstown, soon-to-be rivals of South, Torrance, and North in the Pioneer League. The Warriors finished their preseason and tournament schedule with an 11-5 record, matching their loss total for all of 2014. A 60-46 loss to Bishop Montgomery closed out the very strong non-league season. This year's squad returns just 3 seniors, but according to one of those 12th graders, Bailey Kurahashi, this team has gelled together even better than the 2014 champs. Looking up and down the roster, there's 7 players on this tall team that are 5'9" or bigger, 3 of which are freshmen getting the call up to varsity. So with the fresh roster headed into a brand new league, coach Mike Caparasso tells us how the West Warriors feel about being the new kids on the block.
Coming in the Pioneer League with the other Torrance schools brings a different dynamic. I think it's good for the community of the Torrance schools. But you know, it is a little bit different, but it'll be fun. We're just trying to be able to compete with North. I think they're undefeated right now. Historically, they're a great program. North and South Torrance, I think, historically have better girls basketball programs. So we're just trying to be on their level, try to compete. They run good organizations, and we just want to be like them.
But we have a very deep bench this year, and I think if we it's a matter of staying healthy this year. But I think we look very, very good right now. So a lot coming for us this postseason too. It's definitely different going into Pioneer League. I'm not seeing, the old Redondo, the Costa, it's definitely going to be a little different. But I mean, it's exciting in the sense that we get to play all the Torrance schools this year, and Lusinger and Centennial, which is different because we haven't played any of them for a while. So it'll be fun. I mean, as much as we love the competition in the Bay League, it'll be cool to play other teams this year.
The West girls' 11-5 preseason ended with a loss to another solid South Bay Hoops squad. Bishop Montgomery's Chelsea Leidy leads the Knights with a double-double against the Warriors. 2 Knights scored double digits to bring Bishop to an even 500 non-league record. As for West, they take on Bishop without 3 of their starters, Jasmine Jones, Haley Tanabe, and Haley Jones. Apparently Coach Caparasso sitting his 3 stars and allowing them to rest up before West starts league games, a huge one against the North Saxons right out of the gate. And you'll remember last year, the Saxons and the Warriors clashed in the CIF semifinals, with West going on to take the crosstown bragging rights and a CIF banner. This season, it's been all North before those two got together, although North closed out non-league with the loss of their own. The Saxons drive down to Orange County and have a rough night against the top-ranked team in the nation, according to MaxPreps.com. Modern Day lays the smackdown, perhaps a humbling moment at the right time for a Saxons team that was undefeated. Now the Saxons get to start the league season without the pressure of living up to an undefeated record, as West and North will get after it for a league title. Of course, that other squad mentioned by Caparosa, The South Spartans, they'll likely have plenty to say about the Pioneer League title in 2015. After their roughest stretch of the season ended 2014, suffering their only 3 losses of the year in a 10-day stretch, the Spartans bounced back strong with wins over Pacifica, Calabasas, and Lusinger. All that in just 5 days' time. Okay, one more break coming up. We go out to the ultra-competitive Pioneer League for both boys and girls soccer. You might be surprised just how many Torrance squads are in the mix for a title.
Chris Domine is a husband and a father. Chris is an athlete. Chris is even an Ironman. But 10 years ago, Chris was facing a very different story because his kidneys were failing.
Basically, the doctor said, if you don't get a kidney transplant and if you don't do dialysis, you are going to die.
Fortunately, Chris received a second chance at life, made possible by an organ donor.
You know, your well-being changes, you know, from loss of hope to better times ahead.
More than 100 million people in America are registered organ, eye, and tissue donors. People of every age and ethnicity, because they believe it's the right thing to do. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life. Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
114th Infantry Company, Iraq.
The memories are all blurred.
I don't know what's wrong with me.
The words, they're hard to find.
I came back a different person.
I wonder if she's better off without me.
You just feel alone.
You gave all to the cause of freedom. Now it's our turn to give our all to you. It's free and totally confidential. Reach us at operationnotforgotten.com. We are here.
Welcome back. Things in Torrance's soccer scene looking every bit as competitive and exciting this year as ever before. In both the boys and girls non-league seasons, we've seen more than half of the squads in Torrance work their way into top 10 lists for the South Bay rankings. And just like every other sport this year, the story on the onset of the season is how West High will be welcomed into the Pioneer League. Our first check-in as that day nears is with the boys squad taking on Lawndale at home. Second half, going to start it off here. West on the corner kick. Mason Shortland gets the rebound outside of the penalty box and misses. West trailing 1-0. Later in the second here, another free kick from midfield this time. The goalkeeper goes up and mishandles it, and Shortland right there to put it away. West is finally on the board. And Shortland, he's playing it cool. We're all tied up at 1 now in the second half. Just moments later, Lawndale is back on the attack. Somehow a pass slips through, and they're going to put one by Denver Silver Lake. He had really no chance one-on-one there. Lawndale goes crazy as they take the lead right back late in the game. 2-1 Cardinals now. Same score again, just a couple minutes after that. Shortland going to run by a defender, makes a move to give himself a shot, and puts it by the goalkeeper. Shortland's second goal of the day. He ties it up at 2, and you know, he's just going to keep playing it cool, no big deal. The Warriors and the Cardinals would go on to tie, and we hear from them and Coach Shimizu after the game.
So instead of standing this way, because you didn't have a man, correct?
And he's been very key player for us on the offense. And he's just a smart player, hardworking, and got both opportunities and put them away. Yeah, Denver does a great job for us. He is not as experienced as some other goalies, but he's learned really quickly and made a huge impact on our team this year.
It seems like we started off kind of slow because we've come behind. We're in like 5 or 6 games now. So I think like a big part is we need to step up our intensity at the very beginning of the half instead of coming from behind.
I would say bring up the intensity even more because, the first half they were moving the ball around pretty well, but the second half that me and Matt and a few of our forwards, we reeled it in on them, and we made them do a lot of long balls, so it was good.
Meanwhile, with the entire Pioneer League looking strong on the boys' side, South High got to work in league games just a tad early. The Spartans grind out a 1-0 win in the New Look League, with Cameron Nelson drawing a penalty inside the box. Koya Takedo puts away the only goal of the day on the ensuing penalty kick. Just a few moments later, Lusinger came back with a PK chance of their own, and goalkeeper Ashton Stratton makes the diving stop. The shutout gets the Spartans an early lead on first place in a league where each team is actually expected to compete for that title. It also keeps momentum going after a solid non-league run for South, in which they went 9-2 to kick off their season. On the girls' side of the pitch, things don't look to be any clearer at the top of the standings. South is still the reigning top dog, but Torrance undoubtedly had the strongest non-league season, all while welcoming a West Warrior team that made a CIF semifinals appearance last postseason. So, will the new addition be enough to mix things up at the top? The Warriors get one last matchup with the former Bay League foe, and things don't look too great for West in that one. 3-0 without their starting goalkeeper Ruth Soto. The Warriors also line up without their two other starters in their final non-league showing, suffering just their third loss of the season. The Warriors get just 3 shots on goal in this entire game. At Torrance High, the Tartars come off their first loss of the season with a bounce-back victory. They take down Lawndale 2-0. Maybe a big sigh of relief for the Tartar girls before diving headfirst into league games with their first of the winter, coming against none other than the defending South champs, South High. Those South girls doing just like the boys and starting off league on the right foot. They smoke Lusinger 5-0 to jump into first place right away. All right, that's going to wrap up another week on the Sports Desk. As always, we're available on Facebook if you want to peek at what we're doing throughout the week and which games we're featuring. Facebook.com/thesportsdesktv, or if you'd like to email the show, it's thesportsdesk@torranceca.gov. All right, as always, it's been a good one. We'll see you next week, Torrance.